Okay, so according to the Oxford Learners Dictionary, research is a very careful investigation or inquiry, especially through search for new facts in any branch of knowledge. Right. So, what does the Oxford Dictionary try to help us to understand? How does it define research? It says it is a careful investigation or inquiry through search for new facts in any branch of knowledge, right? So you carefully understand what is this topic, what is there any new information that is there in this topic or not, or is there something that I need to know more before I get into it? So it is your careful investigation. You need to investigate, right? So M. Stephenson and Schlesinger, what do they say in the Encyclopedia of Science, Social Sciences is they define research as the manipulation of things, concepts or symbols for the purpose of generalizing to extent correct of verifying knowledge, whether that knowledge aids in construction of the theory or in practice of the art. So am I clear till here?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now, research is conducted scientifically as it adopts step-by-step process and the results are verifiable. Okay. So what is research? You just can't go, pick a topic, say, I have this topic. So this could be the solution and this is no, that is not the way it goes. You take a topic and then you try to find why you introduce your topic. Why have you picked this topic? What is the reason of this topic? Then you look at the literature of the topic, whether the study has been done before or not. Then you try to, pick data, you do your data, then you do data collect. You analyze your data using different tools. You try to verify it with your topic. You try to say whether it is significant or not. And then formulate a solution once your result is out, then you formulate a solution to it. Okay. So it it has a systematic process. It is processed properly. It has a step by step continuation, right? So it is scientifically step-by-step process and the results are verifiable. Any other researcher who wants to look at your research can always verify your research and say whether it is right and get back to you and say it is right or wrong. Okay, they have that option, right? So in other words, if we repeat the research under the same conditions, we will get the same result. So every researcher has to follow a set of guidelines according to what is said. We all have to follow that set of principles, that set of system, okay, to get the verified results, right? Now, research refers to the systematic method of exploring a problem, formulating hypotheses, collecting the facts or data, analyzing the facts, and arriving at conclusions either in the form of solutions towards the identified problem or in generalizations for some theoretical formulations. So research is systematic search for answers to questions about facts and relationships about those facts, right? So what does it say? That it is you explore the problem, then you formulate the hypothesis, you collect the facts or data, analyze the facts and arrive to conclusions. These are the systems, these are the pointers that you need to know. This is what you would be focusing on when you perform a research. It is very easy said, but when you actually perform or do a paper, it is very difficult, right? Unless and until you put your 100% into it, you will not understand where you are heading to, right? Now, there is one more person called Redman and Mori who define research as it is an effort. As I already told you that, it is very difficult. So what he gets to say is that research is a systematized effort to gain new knowledge. So if you can put in that effort, why are you doing research? What is the purpose before doing research? Is not because you just want a degree and right? Why are we studying? We want to gain knowledge. Similarly, when we are doing when we are doing a, um, a research, right? We are putting that extra effort to learn something new at a higher level, not at a nominal level, but at a higher level. So it is a systematized effort to gain new knowledge. Some people consider research as a movement from the known to the unknown. Okay, it is a no, from something that you know to something that you don't know. Maybe you might have created a hypothesis, but after you get your data, once you sample it, once everything is done in your analysis, maybe the hypothesis that you have created might be false according to the data that you have collected, right? So it is something that you know, maybe you think that this is right, but at the end when you analyze it, you will see that what you have thought is wrong. So you have to go according to the data that you have collected, right? So in the same way, it is from something that you know to the unknown. Or inquisitiveness makes us probe and attain full partial understanding of the unknown. So it is only your inquisitiveness. Why this? Why that? For everything, you need to keep asking. So there's a great professor whom I met the other day, and she was telling me that, when you do your data, when you are doing your research, you need to question why at every sentence of your thesis book. Why this? Why that? Unless and until you have that inquisitiveness, unless and until you want to know the reason of what is happening, why you are doing a simple thing, or that particular question, or that particular topic, or what is it that is involving, you will never uh, understand the whole process of research. It is such a beautiful way of digging into it. Unless and until you are inquisitive to understand what is it, you cannot learn, right? So the inquisitiveness is the mother and knowledge, and the method that woman employs for woman and man. Okay, so basically all people employ for obtaining the knowledge of the unknown can be termed as research is an academic activity. As such, the term should be used in technical sense. And there's one more person, Clifford Woody in C.R. Kothari, who says that research compromises defining and redefines problems. So it compromises defining and defines the problem again, right? So it looks, say there's already a study on the topic that we took. How is TV or soap operas impacting women, right? Because usually the whole, according to what we know, is the majority of women in the household, they get to sit and watch soap operas, right? So what is it, how is it impacting them is a study. Okay, so now there has already been a lot of studies that have been on that would have been done on this topic. Now what would I do if I would want to do that study again? I would take that review of literature, and I would again have another different subtopic under it, and redefine what has been defined already, right? So that means that research comprises defining and redefining problems, formulating hypotheses or suggested solutions, collecting, organizing, and evaluating data, making deductions and reaching conclusions, and lastly, carefully testing the conclusions. Without testing your data, you cannot go forward. Okay, research is thus an original contribution to the existing body of knowledge, making for its advancement. It is in the pursuit of truth. So why do you do research? To find out the truth. What is true? Why is this topic saying that this, it could be this hypothesis? What is that goes into this? What is that we could do in improving it, right? How do we help the society with the research that we have done? All right. So always have that emotional connect to why you are doing it also, children, because it helps you to dig into it more. Without having that emotional connect, you will not understand. If you're just being mechanistic, or if you're just being mechanical, okay, I'm just doing something, I'm just doing it for the heck of a degree, trust me, if you will not be able to be of any help going forward. But if you are doing it to help people, to help organizations, to bring out that awareness in people, then it is really going to go a lot further. So now we understood what is research, right? The definition of research. Now let us understand what is the purpose of a research. Why do we do research? So the purpose of the research is to discover answers, okay, to bring solutions, to understand, okay, through the application of scientific methods. Research, always remember, if you're talking about research, it has to be systematic and it also has to be scientific. These two methods have to be applied in the process of research. It does not go without being scientific or systematic, right? The main aim of the research is to find out the truth that has not been discovered yet. Many people maybe have had their angle of providing a concept, but if you are picking up a similar topic, there is something that is there between the lines that you still need to navigate and find out, right? So it is that area or that concept of finding out the truth that has not yet been discovered. Okay, you are the first person to discover it, and there is something more that you still need to do, right? Though each research study has its own.
Ma'am, investigative journalism, research, slightly both are same, no, ma'am?
I didn't get you, Chandrasekhar.
Investigative journalism.
We are talking
And
about
no, ma'am, slightly both are same or not? This time our question.
Investigative journalism is again different. It comes under it comes under journalism. Okay, so you try to see, you try to investigate why it has happened. So investigative journalism, usually it works in crimes, in area of crimes, CID and things like that. Okay, the purpose over there is different, the purpose over here is different. Here the purpose is research. Why are you performing a research? In criminal or investigative journalism, your purpose is to find out why it has happened. Over here, you are finding a solution to a topic. There, you are finding or you are trying to investigate a problem. Okay, like for example, someone there were eyewitnesses over there, and you know that there was, like, take the Hyderabad gang rape case that happened recently last week. Okay, over there, what, as a journalist, what is your role? You need to investigate what had happened. Why did those boys take this girl? Where did they go to? What did they do? All that comes into investigative journalism. But in research, if you take a topic, the impact of girls under severe or of rape victims. Okay, here it is for a purpose driven as to how you help the society. What is it that you go forward to? But in investigative journalism, it is a role that you investigate as to why it happened, what happened, and it has a different purpose altogether. Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. So now we talk about each research study has its own specific purpose. We may think of research objectives as falling into several broad groupings. Okay, to gain familiarity with the phenomenon or to achieve new insights into it. This object is in view are termed as exploratory or formulative research. Okay, to portray accurately the characteristics of a particular individual, situation, or a group. Such studies are known as descriptive research. Okay, what is formulative research? There are different, we're looking at we're trying to broadly divide research now. Okay, so what is formulatory or exploratory research? Okay, it is to gain familiarity with a phenomenon or to achieve new insights. Okay, something that you explain. Okay, something that you formulate is called exploratory research and formulative research. Okay, so if you're having a topic, you need to explain this topic completely. Okay, only when you only when you do that, you fall into the category of exploratory or formulative research. Okay, and this is usually done while conducting an opinion survey on the internet. When you're trying to do a opinion survey, or you're trying to investigate different things on the internet, it falls into this category. The next comes as descriptive research. For example, you have a case study and you're trying to describe the case. Okay, as to what, for example, if you're having a case where when we talk about the internet addiction among adolescents, all right, over there you're trying to understand what is the addiction that is caused by internet on adolescents, right? Over there you are falling into a descriptive research, right? You describe the problem. Why is it that this person is being addicted to? What is it? What is the characteristics of that particular individual or the situation or the group? You try to portray, okay, a describe situation of that adolescent, and hence it falls into the descriptive research. Next, we talk about diagnostic research studies. Okay, so what happens in diagnostic research studies is you determine the frequency with which something occurs or is associated with something else. Okay, for example, if you're trying to study or assess the patterns of readership among different groups of readers, or influence of income levels on spending of the amount spent on media, there you are trying to do a diagnostic research. Okay, something that determines the frequency with which something occurs or is associated with something else. Now we talk about so to test a hypothesis of causal relationship between variables, you call such research studies as hypothesis testing research studies. Okay, so when you have a variable, after during your data collection, after you have got your data, when you try to analyze your data, you test it, right? So when you're testing it, you're basically testing the hypothesis that you are targeting at, right? So now when you are trying to test between variables, such study is known as hypothesis testing research studies. It may also be noted that objectives or purpose of research are varied. It can be different, it varies, and it depends on the kind of research you are doing. Okay, and those varied objectives could be: research extends knowledge of human beings, social life, and environment. The search is for answers for various types of questions. So it is very popularly known that in mass communication, in journalism, what we need to do to create a news story is use 5Ws and 1H: what, where, when, why. 4Ws and 1H: what, where, when, why, and how, right? So while doing a research, you need to use this elements of communication in pursuing your research. And then research brings to light information and might never be discovered fully during the ordinary course of life. It always brings you, whenever you are doing research, when you are trying to look at something, you are yourself surprised looking at the new information that you are gaining. Research verifies and takes existing facts and theories that help improve our knowledge and ability to handle situations and events. General laws are developed through research may enable us to make reliable predictions of events yet to happen. Research, what does research aim to? It aims to analyze interrelationships between variables and to derive causal explanations, and thus enable us to have better understanding of the world in which we live. Applied research aims at finding solutions to to problems such as socio-economic problems, health problems, human relation problems in the organizations, and many other. Research also aims at developing new tools, concepts, and theories for a better study of unknown phenomena. And at the end, what does research do? It aids planning and thus contributes to the national development. So, all the research that you do, all the hard work that you put in, it aims at the development level. Okay, so if you are doing a research, aim and target for something that is of a developmental use. So what is the motivation for research? Why do you think you need to do a research? There should be some motivation, right? So there are, for example, if you are looking at for example, let us take this gang rape thing. Okay, many of us feel really bad looking at such cases. Like we'll be like, why are boys doing this, or why are girls behaving this way? Or there is one concept that we always think when we look at a news story, right? So that is your motivation factor. That should push you forward. It should not be, that motivation should not be for that little time. It should help you till the time you get your end result, right? So it is a long process because it is systematic, right? So what prompts people to undertake a research? This question of fundamental importance. This is a question of fundamental importance. The possible motives for doing research may either be one or more of the following. It is either desire to get research degree along with its consequential benefits. Okay, what is one way or one thing that people do a degree? It is because they want that degree. I want a PhD, I want doctorate, I want, okay. So, and its benefits. Once you are a doctorate, there are a lot of benefits also added to it, right? So for that, few people do research. The other thing is that desire to face a challenge in solving the unsolved problems. The other set of people, what do they want to do is they want to go forward and solve problems or solve questions, right? There are so many unsolved questions. They want to go forward and take up that problem and solve it, right? Then there are other different kind of people who desire to get intellectual joy of doing creative work. There's so many people out there who just want to keep doing research because that is their satisfaction. They want to keep on doing intellectual work. They always want to keep improvising on their intellectual way of spending time, right? Then the other kind of people are, they desire to be of service to the society. They want to do some kind of service. Okay, if I have done this research, there is some outcome, I will share it with the society, and they will I can help that group, or I can help those people, right? And the lastly, they desire to get respectability. Okay, so if I have a doctorate, okay, people will respect me. I will have a high standard. People will now call me doctor so and so, right? So these are the other set of people. However, this is not an exhaustive list. This is not the final list of to why people are motivated to do research, but these are one of those few pointers that scholars think that people do or undertake research studies. There are many more factors such as directives of government, employment conditions, curiosity about new things, the desire to understand casual relationships, social thinking, and awakening, and they may as well as motivate people to take up research. Research begins with a problem. You have a problem, and that needs an answer or a question that captures the imagination. So research always has a problem, and then you capture a question or an answer that captures the imagination, right? Research is a systematic way of asking questions and gathering data, drawing conclusion. Research in the field of communication can be systematically planned, organized in social perspective. Okay, so in communication, what you can do, it is systematically planned and organized in social perspective. Now, what are the benefits of research? One second, children. Okay, so now let us talk about the benefits of research, right? Yeah. So, so whenever you are trying to process, or you are in the process of research, there is an inquiry system that is born inside you. So your inquisitiveness will lead you to want to know more or to learn more, right? But skepticism rather than overconfidence leads to inquiry. You should not have a quality of being overconfident. You need to be more septimistic, right? So that will help you to lead, or help you to move forward in leading, or guide you towards interventions or inventions, right? You want to invent something, you have to have that mindset of wanting to know. You cannot be like, okay, I know it, I know everything, I am the boss of everything. No, you need to have that mindset of being open, being wanting to learn. Okay, you have to fall under that bracket. uh, Progress is possible through great emphasis on research. So, how is progress possible? When you emphasize on the topic more. Unless and until you emphasize more on the topic, you cannot move forward in your research. If you still sit at the introduction for a couple of days and say, yeah, this is only the introduction, this is the only the introduction, I have to still think about it, I still can't go forward, then it does not make sense. It does not allow you to go forward. You need to understand what do you need to do next, because it is planned, it is systematic, and it has a process, right? So research inculcates scientific and inductive thinking, and it promotes the development of logical habits and thinking and organization. The role of research in several fields of applied economics, whether related to business or to the economy as a whole, has greatly increased in modern times. The increasingly complex nature of business and government has focused attention on the use of research in solving operational process. Research as an aid to the economic policy has gained added importance both for government and business. All right. So there are so many ways where research can be applied. It can research is the basis of government policies, right? So if you look at the government policies today, it has all come out after a lot of research great scholars have done, right? Research provides the basis of for nearly all government policies in our economic system. Research helps policymakers to take sound decisions. For instance, government's budgets and are estimated based on analysis of the needs and desires of people and the availability of revenues to meet their needs. So when you're getting into research, you have to go, you have to have field trips, you have to understand what is actually happening in the system. You might be sitting on the outside and knowing a different story, but when you go into the system, when you have your field trips, you will understand what is actually happening. Research inputs are crucial when the cost of needs has to be equated to probable revenues, devising alternative policies and examining the consequences of each of the alternatives. Right. So when we talk about in research in the context of the government, research as a tool to the economic policy, it has three different phases of operations. Okay, so what are the different phases of operations? One is investigation of economic structure through continual compilation of facts. The second is diagnostic of events that are taking place, and the analysis of the forces underlying them. And third is the prognosis. What is prognosis? It is the prediction of future developments. Diagnosis is that are taking place, and the analysis. Okay, prognosis is the prediction. When you predict the future, it is a prognosis. Okay, and the first is the investigation of economic structure through continual completion of facts. Now, research in business and industry. Now we got a little about what happens in research and government policies. Now it is research in business and industry. Research has its special significance in solving various operational and planning problems of business and industry. operations research, and market research, along with motivational research, are considered crucial, and their results assist in more than one way in taking business decisions. So market research is the investigation of structure and development. So when you do market research, okay, what do? You investigate, or it is the investigation of the structure and development of the market. You have to go into so all this falls under your business strategies, right? So if you're into business, you need to understand what is business research. Why do you do market research? Who are your consumers? Why do you think market research is important? All that, right? So market research is the investigation of the structure and development of a market for the purpose. What is the purpose of doing market research? It is to formulate efficient policies for purchasing, production, and sales. There are three components in this. What is it? It is for production, for purchasing, for production, and for sales. Operation research refers to the application of mathematical, logical, and analytical techniques to the solution of business problems of cost minimization or profit maximization, or what can be termed as optimization problems. Okay, so this is market research. Next, we talk about motivational research. 1 second, team. Yeah. So what is motivational research? It is determining why people behave. Okay, so it is your question of the behavioral pattern of why people behave as they do is mainly concerned with market characteristics. So in market research, you have the motivational research, which talks about what is that reason that is motivating people to behave in a particular way. For example, I have this pen. Okay, all the people are coming and buying this pen. All my consumers are buying this pen. Why are they buying this pen? What is the reason behind it? What is motivating it? Is it the color, or is it the price, or is it the way it looks? What is the reason, right? So I do research depending on the market, okay, on the group of people who have purchased this pen. What is that motivation behind it? Okay, so all these are of great help to people in business and industry who are responsible for taking business decisions. So your research will help people in taking business decisions, because they will understand the progress of why or how, right? Now, research with regard to demand and market factors has great utility in business. Given knowledge of future demand, it is generally not difficult for a firm or an industry to adjust a supply schedule within the limits of its projected capacity. Now, after you do market or market research or motivational research, you do market analysis. There is something called market analysis. You analyze your sector of people, right? So market analysis has become another integral tool. It has become a very important tool of business policy nowadays. So business budgeting, which untimely results in a projected profit or loss account, is based mainly on the sales estimates that in turn depend on the business research. Okay, so it is your market analysis kind of helps you in helping you to understand where in the untimely results of projected profit or loss, whether a company is getting a profit or a loss, whether what are those strategies that we can evolve as a business entity in the market, right? So once sales forecasting is done, efficient production and investment programs can be set around, which are grouped in purchasing and financial plans. Research thus replaces intuitive business decisions by more logical and scientific decisions. So nowadays, when you see businessmen taking more appropriate decisions, it is because of the research that is being done on the back end, right? It helps you in taking major decisions. Now, for example, if you look at the way COVID also worked, right? They when they got vaccinations and all that, they did a trial testing, right? Only then did they go forward and said we all need to be vaccinated because this is saving us from COVID-19, and even if we get it, it will reduce the intensity of being more sick, right? So how did they come to that result? They created, or the centers, the laboratories, they worked on the medicine, they tested on people, they came out with conclusions, and then they helped the society, right? So in the same way, as a market or as researchers, what are we doing to the market? We are trying to analyze what is the profit, what is the loss, where are there, what is it that is going wrong, why are consumers buying or why are consumers not buying, and then we come up and submit the data to businessmen. Now, they, depending on the data, depending on the analysis we have done, they take major logical and scientific decisions that have to be made. Now, there is research in social sciences also. Okay, so what is research in social sciences? Research is equally important for social sciences. And studying social relationships and seeking answers to various social problems. Research in social sciences is concerned both with knowledge for its own sake and with knowledge of what it can contribute to partial concerns, right? So now here we are talking about the society. What is it that we can do to help the society? This double emphasis is perhaps especially appropriate in the case of social science. On the one hand, its responsibility as a science is to develop a body of principles that make possible the understanding and prediction of the whole range of human interactions. Okay, so what are we focusing here is to it. So we are taking that as a responsibility to develop a set of principles for people to follow, for the whole range of human race to follow. So what we say is, when we come up with a research related to social science, we are aiming at, or we are targeting at, helping the whole human race, right? Now, on the other hand, because of its social orientation, it is increasingly being looked to go for practical guidance in solving immediate problems of human relations. Now, further, the significance of the research can also be understood by following few points. So, to students who write a master's or PhD thesis, research may mean a career or a way to attain high position in social structure. So, why do students and people who just finish their masters do a thesis, a small paper, or a PhD studies? Is to attain a social position, right? Then professionals in research methodology, research may mean a source of livelihood. There are few researchers who do research so that they get, it is like a mean of livelihood. Like, if they do their research, they will get a good job in a good university and they can earn money, right? To philosophers and thinkers, research may mean an outlet for new ideas and insights. What is it to how is research defined to philosophers or thinkers? For them, it is wanting to know more, new ideas. I want to create something, I want to invent something, I want to know more. To literary men and women, why do they do research? So that they for them, it is the main it might be the development of new styles and creative work. Why do they want to do? So that they want to know more, they want to know what is trending right now, what is in news right now, how do we let us also go with the flow. Okay, so they think in that way. Now, to analysts and intellectuals, for them, research might be the generalizations of new theories. What are the new theories? How generalized are they? So thus, on a whole, research is the fountain of knowledge. Whatever sector you look at, it is still the fountain of knowledge. In whichever category you are doing research, you are still learning so many things, right? For the sake of knowledge and an important source of providing guidelines for solving different businesses, governmental and social problems. It is a sort of formal training that enables one to understand better the new development in one's field's expertise or interest. So this is called, or this is the purpose behind doing a research. Now we talk about research in communication. Till now we spoke about what research is, what are the benefits of research, why do we need to do research, what is the main purpose behind doing research. But now we come into the subject. In communications, in mass communications, in journalism, what is research? Okay, do we still have time? Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So, am I clear? Are you all able to understand what I am trying to explain?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, research and communication. So, accumulating knowledge through research is a continuous process, right? So, as I already told you, that you pick your topic, you get your hypothesis, then you get your literature review, then you go into data collection, then you gather data, you analyze data, and then you conclude, you bring a solution. You test, before concluding, you test your data. I mean, in analysis, you test your data. And then you come to a conclusion, right? So accumulating knowledge, okay, all this knowledge through research is a continuous process. It continues, it goes on and on and on and on, right? One research study cannot answer all the questions. If you're picking up one study, do not think that you can answer all the questions in that one research study, right? Excuse me. Yeah, I'm sorry. So you cannot understand or you cannot answer all the questions. All right. This facet of learning is building on the research of others. So, for example, if there is already a research that has been done on a similar topic that you have already picked, okay, what you would do is you would build on that topic again. You would again build on that topic again. There would be another researcher who would come, find gaps, and again build on that topic. So it is always a building process. There is no end to knowing knowledge. We need to understand that there is no end to research. If you want to do research, if you want to learn more, if you want to bring solutions, there is no end to learning, right? So this facet of learning, building on the researches of others, is a central way to academic discipline. Thus, the primary goal of communication research is to describe communication phenomena as well as discover and explain the relationships among them. Okay, so in communications, what is your role in research? It is to describe the communication phenomena. For example, if I take digital, okay, what comes under digital media? Anyone? What comes under digital media? Chandrasekhar, what comes under digital media? You should tell me.
Television, madam.
Okay.
Internet.
Uh-huh. Yes. So now when we have all the OTT platforms, okay, we have all this that is being played, right? So how is it communicating to me? During COVID, all of us were stuck to the televisions. All of us are stuck to the OTT platforms, right? So how did that communicate to me? So what is the phenomena that was there? What was the process of communication that happened, and how did it impact me? So that is how we study in communication research. Is nothing but it describes the communication phenomena that discovers and explains the relationship among them. The relationship might be me and the TV, me and the OTT, me and someone else, maybe communication of two people, or maybe me and the book, right? print media, right? So what is the significance between me and the other variables? So we have two variables. One is independent, one is dependent variable. So what is the communication phenomena between these two variables is something that we study in communication research. Okay, research is the process of discovery and explanation. So in communication research, it is always the process of discovery and explanation. You discover something and you explain it. Okay, to explain it, you need to study more. To explain, for example, if I am explaining you this, I have studied, I have done my master's, right? I'm doing my PhD. That is the reason today I'm able to explain it to you. So in the same way, when you're doing your research, you have to understand, you have to discover a problem, and you have to explain the problem, right? And explanation only happens through more study. The research process, if approached systematically, can have one of the four results. It allows the researcher to describe the behavior, to determine the cause of the behavior, predict the behavior, and explain the behavior. So what are the different things that the four components that the researcher would look into? Describe the behavior, that this is the pattern of behavior that I'm observing in people who, or women who sit at home and watch soap operas. Okay, I describe the behavior. I determine the cause of the behavior. Why are they sitting and watching for so long? What is making them sit for so long, and what is the cause? Like, what is the behavior that they are showing, right? Predict the behavior. I will predict, okay, if this is if they are not able to watch, this might be the outcome. If they are watching, this might be the outcome. I will predict the behavior and I will explain the behavior. I will say, okay, because they are watching soap operas, this is the outcome of the behavior. Because they are not watching, this is the outcome of the behavior. Okay, so I explain the behavior. So describing behavior entails describing outcomes, processes, or ways in which variables are related to one another. So I spoke about variables. We can have as many as variables we need. Many the variables, more the complexity, right? But more effective the study. Okay. So when I am talking about variables, okay, so what do I do is I try to see whether they are relating to each other or not, whether they are significant. If I'm talking about soap operas and women, it is significant, right? Because many women are sitting, there is a TRP, there is a high TRP rating when women sit, I mean, for women who sit before the television sets and look at soap operas, right? So now, what is that relationship that they have towards each other? Determining the cause or the causes of behavior is the interest of to communication scholars, because knowing the cause of something allows scholars to later plan interventions or develop training to increase effectiveness of communication. So the whole idea of communication scholars is effectiveness of communication, to improve that effective communication. Okay, so for example, we might look at in the same topic, that soap operas and women. What is the effective communication that we see here? How do you think communication scholars or they they help in studying the whole concept of this topic? What do you all think in determining the cause? So they determine the cause or the causes of behavior, and it is the interest of communication scholars because knowing the cause allows them to plan interventions, right? Or to develop training to increase the effectiveness of communication. So if you take this topic of soap operas and women, how do you think communication scholars would help here? Any one of you? Okay, so the way communication scholars help here is they might help in, maybe if they're really addicted to it, okay, they will they will plan training sessions in helping them to understand, not to get addicted, but to keep it at an entertaining level. Okay, it depends on the outcome or the interventions or the data analysis that they get, right? They might also build in interventions like, okay, if not this, you can also watch this. You can do this while working. So they will have a theoretical, or they will come up with a plan B to help people. right? So as communication scholars, we are here for entertainment, we are here for communication, but we are looking at balancing lifestyles. Okay, so this is how we are helpful. This is where we pitch in. Okay, we help in understanding, we bring out strategies to help people to have a better life, to have a better lifestyle of life, right? So now we talk about interest of, I'm sorry, yeah. So now, so Rhodes and Keaton, they wanted to determine in which variables had greater effect on employees' perceptions that their organization live up to uh, lived up to its stated zero tolerance sexual harassment policy. Will the interaction environment, example, respondents' gender being targeted of sexual harassment, be treated fairly by co-workers and supervisors, influence how respondents characterized the sexual nature of the organization's environment, and influence their perceptions of how well the organization lived up to its policy? Or would organizational remedies such as holding gender sensitization classes for the employees are rethinking for from that training be more influential? So we have an example here, right? So what did this person do? Rhodes, Keaton, and Ferguson, what they did is they wanted to determine which variables had greater effect on the employees, okay, perceptions that their organization lived up to its stated zero tolerance sexual harassment policy. So their organization had a policy that did not tolerate even 1% or even 0.1% of sexual harassment. Okay, so their influence of how respondents characterized the sexual nature of the organization's environment and influence and their perception. So they did a research study on this. Or would organizational remedies such as holding gender sensitization? So what they said is, okay, is it better for us to, to bring that zero tolerance? What do we do? Do we actually characterize the sexual nature of the organization's environment and influence their perceptions, influence their thought process? Or is it good for us to conduct training programs for the employees and retain knowledge that could be more influential? So after the study is done, what they did is they tried to bring in interventions, they tried to bring plans. The one plan was whether they should bring in training programs, and the other thing was if they should actually help them to deal with their perceptions, their thought processes of what is sexual harassment, why is it bad, should we do this? So using the responses, what they did is using the responses of 252 employees, the research team tested the influence of the interaction environmental factors against a set of organizational remedy factors. Contrary to the presumption of the organization's executives, organizational remedies were not related to the employees' perceptions about the organization's zero tolerance sexual harassment policy. The study findings did support, however, the factors in the interaction environment caused two different employee reactions. First, male employees who had been victim of sexual harassment, and employees who believed they were not being fairly treated by their co-workers, perceived the organization's environment as sexualized, and that the organization did not live up to its stated policy. The second thing, and the alternatively, employees who believed that they were being fairly treated by their supporters perceived that the organization policy was being upheld. If researchers can describe communication events and identify their cause, that they can turn to predicting behavior. Okay, so if behaviors are predictable, then we can anticipate what will happen in the future. So we are there at the crux as communication psychology, as communication scholars, to understand and predict behaviors. And now in fact, with so many subjects in hand, like sociology or philosophy or psychology, we have that ability to mix communications with different subjects to make our research more valid. right? So now the research terms prediction was supported, suggesting that that we need, as communications scholars, had to intervene into communicate the into the organization and bridge that gap, right? So this is how communication scholars play a role. There is one more example over here that talks about video games, violent video games. This we will do tomorrow. The following week, where I could explain you more and bring up more examples for you. But but before I could go forward, we will talk a little about aggressive behaviors also. What are aggressive behaviors? And I will finish with the broad areas of research for today. Okay. So what are aggressive behaviors, right? So going beyond describing, determining the cause and predicting, explaining behavior means understanding why such a behavior occurs. Like already, as I have mentioned, that there is a cause, there is a behavior, you need to understand the behavior, you need to predict their behavior, and you need to give or explain the behavior. So for researchers, they were able to determine how and why health campaigns work. More effective campaigns would ultimately result in a healthier society that spends less money on healthcare. But finding such an explanation is difficult and often requires a series of sophisticated research projects. Working from a well-developed and validated theoretical basis is another way to develop explanations for communication behavior. So the way we are communicating, the way the government is communicating to us, makes it more simplified for us to understand what the people are understanding or what they are not understanding. So as communication scholars, we need to budge into that gap and try to make people understand, so that we do not observe aggressive behaviors. Unless and until communication, the whole process of communication justifies the ability to understand, if we are not able to bridge that gap, then I think we are still failing in the field of communication. So to bridge that gap of communication, we need to understand what communication is and try to deal with it more, right? So if a person does not understand, it does lead to aggressive behavior. So there are four behavioral intentions, in which in turn caused people to to have a particular behavior. And they are the description, determination of the cause, prediction, and explanation are closely related. New knowledge in one area will affect how questions are asked and answered in another area. So in one area, if there are questions and there is new knowledge, it will automatically affect how questions are asked in the other area also. Like for in communications, if I'm asking a question, it might also lead to questions in psychology. Like when I'm talking about perception, perceive information, understanding of information, different concepts. So if I'm asking a question over here in this area, new knowledge, I am also asking questions in, there are different unanswered questions in the questions that are asked in the other area also, right? So research in communication cannot be dealing from other main disciplines like sociology, psychology, and political science. Most people seek information for specific purposes. They are receivers of some kind of information and are not receivers of other kind of information. The research task is to determine what kind of people are most likely to receive what kind of information related to what kind of intended outcomes. Factors that account for the rising interest in communication research are the penetration of the mass media into the audiences in developing countries and corresponding potential of this development for reaching their development goal. Okay. And the other is the emphasis on social reform policies called for widespread diffusion of new knowledge, and the heterogeneous population in India is the target of massive doses of information and development messages. One can see and understand the importance of research for attempting to bring development to the heterogeneous audience through communication. A vast majority of this population is scattered in rural areas, and they have to be focused on. Right? So communication research is an absolute must in socio-cultural organizational context. So if you are wanting to be a communication scholar, then you need to involve into the socio-cultural or the organizational sector, right? Every aspect or mode and means of communication, specific area, audience type or audience type of audience, and their nature, interests, needs, problems, and so on has to be investigated to make communication more effective. Unless and until you know whom you are targeting, what your audience is, what is their background, what is their need, what is it that they want, what is the solution that you want to give, you cannot make communication effective. If you need effective communication, you need to have all the demographic, biographic details of the person. For instance, information needs and interests of the farmers are different as they hail from different regions. Such gaps and the extent of the message distortion as it flows from the source to the people need to be filled through research. Communication research is crucial to understand the areas of communication strategies, patterns, and existing models of communication for effective transfer of technology under different agroclimatic conditions. Okay, so with this, I will end for today. We will look into broad areas of research, applied research, predictive research, and we will finish unit 1. I will also give you a few important questions that you think is important, and then we will start with unit 2. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.